Hi, it's Kit Finlow Bates here, and today I thought I'd talk a bit about anonymous and pseudo-anonymous and truly anonymous blockchains. Because there was a comment on one of my earlier posts that blockchains are fundamentally transparent and therefore you can't really have data privacy, and that is, I think, wrong. So when you look at Bitcoin, it's pseudo-anonymous in that you have Bitcoin addresses and you can see exactly who's transferring what from what address to which other address. But what you don't have is an immediate linkage between a Bitcoin address and a person unless they decide to make it public. So you can go and look up an address and then see if someone's put it on their website with a statement saying please tip me at this address or please pay me at this address. Then it's no longer pseudo-anonymous, then you've actually got identity of the person whose address it is. However, what you can do is you can use zero knowledge proofs in blockchains, and that's what systems like Zcash use, whereby you can't actually go and look at the ledger and see the transactions and the balances associated with them. And what they use is a mathematical trick whereby two parties can exchange tokens with each other without anybody else on the blockchain seeing that those two parties have done so, and whereby the two parties can be absolutely sure that they have completed the transaction successfully. So there you have a situation where you have complete privacy. Now, if you take one of these systems and you use the transaction in order to pass a private symmetric key from one party to another, then you have the opportunity whereby a blockchain can allow the transferal of information. You put the information encrypted on a traditional database, and then you pass the symmetric key that it was encrypted with to another party using a zero knowledge proofs backed blockchain, and that way nobody knows that you have passed the key from yourself to the person you're authorizing to see the data. And you can also pass the location of the database, for example, and what other metadata you want to. And that means that a blockchain can be used for identity and access management in a totally private way. So that's just a quick summary of how blockchains do not need to be totally transparent. They are most of the time pseudo-anonymous, but they can be made totally anonymous, and you can use them to pass encryption keys, which means that the data that you're allowing access to cannot be accessed by anybody else, and what's more, you can keep the fact that you've given somebody access to that data secret from the world at large, even though the ledger is publicly available. So I hope that clarified privacy on a blockchain a bit more, and hope you found it interesting. Leave any comments below if you have any more questions or any corrections you want to make to what I've said, and I'll see you in the next video soon. Bye for now.